Hello, hello, hello. This is Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner, and this video is actually in response to one of the questions that I got recently when I was showing how I was organizing my embossing folders. Someone said that they were wondering about rubber stamps. So I thought I'd go ahead and share this quick video on the cling mounted, because I don't actually store any of my rubber stamps on the blocks any longer. Just like the rest of us, I've got limited amount of space, so I decided I was going to unmount them a couple of years back and put them, I'm actually going to do a reorganization of all of them. I right now just got them in the standard little pockets like I do with my regular clear stamps, and at one point I will go ahead and show you how I am organizing those too. But when it comes to the cling stamps, what I noticed is that they still take up quite a bit more space because they are thicker. So to start off with, what I'm going to do is just show some of the cling stamps I've already got, and then I'll show you how I'm going to be changing a little bit how I'm organizing the rest of them. Now this is a little notebook that I had picked up at Target at one point. I really like the way the saying on here, and I picked up a bunch of different notebooks a couple of years back. In this one, what I'm using it for is to hold my Tim Holtz. They're the perfect size. These sheets of Tim Holtz stamps all measure, it's about 7 inches wide and about 8.5 inches tall. So this shorter notebook is perfect size for these. So what I wound up doing is just punching some holes that matched the rings that were in this one through the acetate piece for these, and they all fit in here perfect. And that made me think a little bit more. When it comes to the rest of my cling mounted stamps, I think something like this would work perfectly. So we're going to try it out now. I recently received, and if you haven't seen the video for that, I'll go ahead and leave a link up here for you. But I recently received these stamps from Cracker Box and Susie Stamps. They're all cling mounted rubber stamps. This company, so far I am loving it. This is my first order from them, and it was part of a sponsored hop. So I'm really appreciative to have gotten these. And my favorite, of course, is little Groot. But when they create these, when you order them is when they start actually manufacturing. So it does take a little bit longer to get. It takes a few days for them to actually ship. But it still came in pretty quick, and I absolutely love them. And this is the way that they come. They come in a plastic sleeve. I did take the invoice out, so that's not there, but because it does have my address and stuff on there. But this is how they came. So when I take them out, got this nice little piece of cardstock, and then we've got our 3 stamps. And I thought, you know what, I bet that if I laminate this, that would be a perfect way for me to mount these and keep them in a binder, either this binder or a binder like that. So that is what I'm going to go ahead and do right now. Now you could also go ahead and pre-stamp it onto the cardstock so you know exactly where they're supposed to go. I'm not going to do that this time. I really considered it, but I thought, I may decide to get some other small stamps that'll fit on here. I like that it says Cracker Box and Susie Stamps, so that way I know where I got these specific ones from, because to be honest, the rest of my rubber stamps that I've taken off of the blocks, I have no idea where most of them came from, and all I can do is search Google for the image and hope that they're there. So I'm going to go ahead first off and just laminate this piece of cardstock. So I've already got my Crenova laminator all heated up, except I turned it off, but it's all heated up and ready to go. And I've just got a laminated pouch. I believe that this one is the 5mm, and I think that will work great for this purpose. I'm going to go ahead and put this one down in the center, which is going to give a little extra space on each side. That way I can trim it perfectly to go in there. And before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and brush off as much of the yuck off of there. Now you probably noticed that the paper is a little dirty here, but that's because I've been using the stamps. Okay, that looks pretty straight. I'm going to go ahead and just run that through. Okay, so that is all done. This is all nice and it's got that thick plastic on there now. So next I'm going to go ahead and just trim this down some. So we already know that I want this to match basically the ones that are already in this binder. So I'm going to go ahead and just take those stamps off. Then I want to trim this down to about the same as where that is. So, okay, so height-wise, it's about right. So I'm going to go ahead and just trim it off on this end to start off with. Except, of course, it does not fit. This is one of the cases where using your larger paper trimmer would work probably better, but I really don't care. I'm going to go ahead and trim this down some with my scissors, and then I will trim up and straighten all of the edges with my paper trimmer. So now it'll fit in there, and I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap down at the bottom so that the paper, so that there's not too much of a bubble gap there that could cause. I don't want to cut into the bubble gap. That's what I'm trying to say. If you've done any laminating, then you know that there is this slight little, there you can see it now, there is a slight little barrier there. There's a little bubble gap right there between the cardstock and the solid piece of plastic here, where it doesn't completely adhere. And if you cut into that, it's very likely that the laminate will come off eventually. And I don't really want that to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and trim it down on this side too, because I figure I'm going to have this end as being the part that has the holes, and I can adjust how deep I want that to go, and I don't mind having a little extra clear part there. Okay, so and just so that it's easier for me to see where to cut, I'm going to just take out a Sharpie and just add a little mark there. And then I can just trim that down, and it should be pretty close to perfect fit. Okay, and next, because I don't want to be hurting myself on the edges, I should have thought of this earlier, I'm going to go ahead and round the corners. Now, this works pretty well for rounding them, but it doesn't always cut all the way through. But that's okay. If it doesn't cut all the way through the laminate, all I have to do is trim it off with my scissors. This time it is working really, really well. I am very happy with that. Okay. And then next, bring my notebook back up, because I want to make sure that I get the holes in the right spots. And this time I'm going to be using my Crop-A-Dile punch for that part. So let me go ahead and line this up about where I want it. And I'm just basically centering the Stampers Anonymous sheet with the white cardstock, and then putting it on the edge. And I'm going to just use a couple of little binder clips to hold it in place while I figure out exactly which ones I need to go with. And then again, I'm going to use my marker. So that's where I need that one. And this has 4 holes. Okay, so that should be about right. And then I'm going to use the larger of the 2 punches on my corner, on my Crop-A-Dile, to go ahead and just punch those holes out. And what I'm doing, I know that you can't see it, but what I'm doing is I'm looking through the hole so that I can see that it lines up with that Sharpie that I drew on there. So that's the reason that I'm holding it like this. Just line that up and punch it out. Okay. So that should be about right. I may have to go back and repunch, but that's okay too. Let's see how that fits. It's pretty close, but these holes are a little bit smaller than the original, so I'm just going to go and put another one right beside it. And that should adjust. That adjusted for 2 of them, but these 2 are the other end. And since this is just for storage, it really doesn't matter if these are exact or perfect. And now I'll go ahead and put these guys back on here. And it really doesn't matter which side of the plastic I put my stamps on. These are going to be inside the binder and pretty much protected. So that is what I'm planning on doing with the rest of my cling mounted stamps that I have in basically in just those regular little sleeves. I think this is a much better way to store them. And one other thing I'm going to add to it is I'm also going to add a sticker to the binding, because otherwise I'm going to forget what's in this one. If I know that it is my cling mounted stamps, then I may actually take them out and use them more often, because I can't remember the last time I used any of those stamps other than Baby Groot that you guys saw on this last week's video. So I want to just thank you guys for dropping in. I hope that this video was helpful, and for everybody that is subscribed to my channel, thank you so much. You don't know how much I appreciate that. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscription button and hit the little bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. And if you're not already a member of my Crafting with Debbie Facebook group, go ahead and join us over there, because we always love seeing what you create. And I believe that if I can make something, you can do it too. So come on and join us. We do have a bunch of fun over there. Have a wonderful day, guys, and happy crafting!